Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we have started the static part of various topics and we have covered till general science. So in this lecture, we are going to proceed with the environmental studies and we will have a look upon various important topics which forms the static part of the environmental studies. So let's start this session. So before start about the environmental studies, again, I will do the same thing which we have been in practicing from last sessions. And the thing is little bit revision and basic overview. Okay. So we are going to have a discussion over little bit revision and the basic overview. All right. So let's start this session. So if we got a basic overview, then my first question is, what do we mean by environmental studies? What do we mean by environmental studies is my first question. So basically we can say that it is the study of the environment surrounding our habitat. Okay, so basically it is the environmental study which surrounding our habitats. Okay, and for this we must learn about the environment. Like, what is the meaning of environment? If you know, in the previous lecture I had told you the very simple definition of environment, and I want you all to recall that definition. I'm providing 10 seconds, then I will tell you the answer. Your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So basically the basic definition of environment is, it is the surroundings. This definition I had told in the previous lecture. Like, all of your surroundings are a part of your environment. Okay, it contains abiotic and biotic. Okay, and what is the meaning of abiotic and biotic? Now I am providing you 15 seconds to tell me about the biotic and abiotic. Just think these things in your mind and then try to match the answer which you have thought in your mind in the answer which I will provide you. Okay, your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Time's up. So basically you can say the biotic ones are living beings within surroundings or within an environment. Okay, so biotics are the living beings or the living factors within the surroundings or within the environment, whereas abiotics are non-living beings within surroundings or within an environment. Okay, so that's from the part of biotic and the abiotic, which both are the part of environment. All right, and also known as environment covers lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and combination of all of them, biosphere. Okay, because biosphere is a study of living beings, so it is a part of environment directly. Okay, and all these factors also are the part of the environment directly, because all these factors containing either living or non-living components. All right, so now let's move forward. So in this particular sections, or you can say in this particular topic of the environmental studies, we are going to have a look on various rules and regulations along with various objectives. Various rules and regulations along with various objectives provided by laws and acts. Okay, so basically we are going to learn about the various laws and acts which provided certain rules and regulations along with various objectives. Okay, basically we are going to learn about the conservational part and how we are protecting our environment. Okay, so the first thing we have the National Environment Policy, which was launched in the year of 2006. Now I want you all to pay a clear-cut attention on these topics. Okay, write down the name of the policy, the year, and also try to get explanation which I am providing you about the act. Okay, because when you will be revising all these facts again before your examination, you will have an edge over other students who did not follow the concept. Okay, so basically India's National Environment Policy of 2006 provides a comprehensive framework for addressing environmental issues and promoting sustainable development in the country. Okay, so here we have found one new word which is known as So here we have found a new word which is sustainable development. So what is the meaning of sustainable development? Now the question is, what is the meaning of sustainable development? Okay, so basically you can say it is a balanced development. Okay, so you can say if this is a generation 1, this is the generation 2, this is the generation 3, this is a generation 4. Okay, they came before us. Also, they came before us. If we looked ourselves as generation 3, they came before us, they came before us, they will come after us. We are standing now. Okay, so if we looked at Earth, okay, Earth has provided us various resources like forest, water, air, minerals. Okay, various resources have been provided to us by the Earth. Okay, and these resources have been continuously transferring from one generation to another. Okay, because human beings required these resources altogether to sustain their life so that they could live. That's why we called balanced development as a very necessary part for the survival of human race. For the survival of human race or species, you can say particularly species. Okay, so what happened if one generation passed to the 2 passed to the 3, but we who are living as a 3 used all of the resources or destroyed all of the resources. So what will happen? The next generation of us will not get anything. Okay, all the resources which have been provided to us by the earth, if we consume all of them or we destroyed all of them, our upcoming generations will not be able to survive on earth. Okay, and that will be the end of human species. Okay, that's why sustainable development is a very priority most goal in every policy formulating for protection of environment, Because in protection of environment, we are going to protect ourselves by conserving our surroundings. Got it? So I hope you have got the clear idea of sustainable development. Got it? Now let's move forward. Now we have got the sustainable development, which we had discussed in the previous slide, but here we are going to have a detailed overview also. The policy places a strong emphasis on sustainable development, means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation. Like I have told you, if there are 4 generations, 1, second generation, 2, third generation, 3, fourth generation, 4. Okay. Then we are in the third generation, as for the example. And if we are using these resources to meet our needs, we must use them in accordance so that these resources could be passed to the generation 4s like they had been passed to us from generation 1 and generation 2 respectively. Alright. It recognizes that economic growth should not come at the expense of environmental degradation. Like you are saying, we are using these resources because we want a economic growth so that our generations, our upcoming generations will have better future, will have better living standards, will have better technology to use, okay, better exposure they get. But what if the natural resources or the natural environment, which is the foremost priority based goal or priority based need, basically not goal exactly, need of human to survive on this earth. If all these sources get consumed in just to get the economic growth for the upcoming generations, then will it be beneficial? The answer is clear? No. Alright. So what if this generation is not able to survive? Then it's a clear no. Okay. So that's why it is said that we should do a sustainable development so we could use the resources to meet our demand and to use them in accordance so that they could be used in the future as well for our upcoming generations. That is our goal. Okay. Now let's move forward. Thereafter, the integration of environmental concerns. Policy calls for the integration of environmental concerns into various sectors of development, including agriculture, industry, infrastructure, and energy. Okay. Basically, you can say when you are doing a development, then is it possible that only one sector get developed? Okay. If I'm asking you, oh, is there any development going on? So is there any chances that only one sector could be developed so that we can say it's a development, like primary sector, secondary sector, or the tertiary sector? Is it possible if you are doing a development, only one of the sector gets benefit and others not? I am asking you from the environment point of view, not from economic point of view. Make it very clear in your mind. Okay. So the answer is no, because development is going on these 3 sectors. Alright. Primary, like agriculture. Secondary, like industry and infrastructure. What about tertiary? Like your communication services. Okay. Because the mobile towers, they are harmful for the nature because they kills the bird. If you have watched a movie Robot 2.0, okay. In Robot 2.0, this concern has been raised very carefully. Okay. So that's why this policy calls for the integration of environmental concerns. Like, besides making a single plan for primary, secondary, and tertiary. Is it far better that if we combine all of them, primary, secondary and tertiary, okay, so that we could have a single outlook, but this single outlook is formulated by merging or integration of all the concerns of these three sectors, okay. So this is called out in this policy, okay. It emphasizes the need to harmonize economic and environmental object. It means that yes, we could carry on economic activities in these sectors in name of development, but we should keep one thing in our mind, that the environmental protection object should be met, okay. So not only economic growth achieved, but also environment could be protected. All right, now let's move forward. Now we have polluter pays principle. Policy promotes the polluter pays principle, means that those who cause pollution or environmental damage should bear the cost of remediation and cleanup. This principle encourages responsible behavior and accountability. For example, we could take an example like, if this is a factory, okay, this is a factory, and you can say a water stream is crossing beside it. A water stream is crossing beside it, okay, and then this industry is discharging its waste into this water stream, okay, and then there are people who were consuming the water from this stream. They all get affected by the water pollution, which is a part of environmental pollution or environmental damage, okay. So in this cause, under polluter pays principle, this firm is liable to pay compensation to the affected ones, also bear cost of cleanup, okay, because that firm was the one which discharges the chemical waste or any hazardous waste into the water stream, and the people who were consuming the water from the stream get infected because of this. So in this case, this firm or this factory will be liable to pay the compensation for their medical checkups, and also will liable to pay a amount so that this water stream could be cleaned up. So this polluter pays principle was inserted in National Environmental Policy. All right. Now let's move forward. Thereafter, we have the precautionary principle. Advocates suggest an action policy has a potential to harm the environment or public health. Okay. In the absence of scientific consensus, burden of proof falls on those advocating the action. This principle is meant to prevent the irreversible damage to the environment. Okay. Basically, you can say, if a development policy was formulated by someone, okay, and that policy having harming effect on environment, okay, harming effect on environment. then what will happen? This person who has formulated this policy will be stopped by the authorities, and this person will be liable to defend his particular policy. Okay, simply means precaution principle states that if a person who's advocating or supporting the action which has significantly potential to damage the environment, this person is liable to protect his action. Okay, so this is the precautionary principle. Now let's move forward. Thereafter we have the public participation, because if we talk about the environment, okay, in environment basically the humans living in there, okay, and it is a very true fact that humans are the major, or you can say sometimes is the only one who causes environmental damage. Okay, so if you really want to protect the environment, you have to stop humans first, and if you want to stop the humans, you require their participation, which is known as human participation. Okay, and the group of humans known as the public, so ultimately it is known as the public participation. Okay, without public participation, no particular policy could be sustained or could be succeed. Okay, it recognizes the importance of involving the public in environmental decision making, includes giving citizen access to information, allowing them to voice concerns, and involving them in the assessment and review of environmental policies and projects. So basically you could say in the year of 2005 we got right to information. It is also known as RTI. Famously it is known as RTI. Okay, and this established Central Information Commission, which is also known as CIC. Okay, so in 2005, people of India got right to information, established the CIC Commission. Basically, if you want to get information about any particular government plan, any particular policy, okay, then you can get, but it is not possible against intelligence and security agencies. Remember it, intelligence and security agencies. So you can say your intelligence and security agencies are immunized against this CIC. You cannot gather their information by filing the RTI. Okay, so nearly about 28 agencies are exempted from it. But beside these agencies, you can have information about many things. Okay, so you can say various environmental policies, various actions on environment. If a citizen wants to know about it, then they can have a access to information. Okay, and by processing this information, they could raise the voice concern, and also they could be involved in assessment and review of the environmental policies and projects. Okay, so this was also the part of National Environmental Policies, which was formulated in 2006. All right, now let's move forward. Now we have the conservation of natural resources. Basically, the natural resources are exhaustible in nature. Okay, like conventional fuel like woods and all. Okay, fossil fuels and etc. These are the exhaustible. Also, natural resources are inexhaustible, like wind, sunlight, etc. They are inexhaustible. Okay, but majorly because in today's term, major population and major human needs exhaustible natural resources because of their survival habits or survival options now. So that's why we require to conserve these natural resources, because it takes them many years to get formed, and also they are formed in a limited number. So if we do not conserve them, if we do not protect them, they will be expired soon, and then we will have no option to generate a policy and generate a plan to meet our demands with their best alternatives or best options, you can say. Okay, so that's why we require the conservation of natural resources. This policy emphasizes the conservation of natural resources, including forest, water, land, and biodiversity. Many times I have told you about the biodiversity. You can say it is a diversity amongst bio or living beings. Okay, so it is a biodiversity and we are required to protect them. Okay, encourages sustainable management practices to ensure the long-term availability of these resources. It means that yes, we could use the forest, water, land, and biodiversity to meet our today's need. Okay, but we must ensure that future needs should also be met. Okay, because you are using in generation 3, because I am taking example of generation. Okay, doesn't mean that we are living in generation 3. I'm just taking an example. Because you are living in generation 3 doesn't mean that you have a right to use all of the sources and leave nothing for generation 4. So that's why we required sustainable management practices. All right. Now let's move forward. Thereafter, we have the environmental education awareness. Okay. If you want a public participation, so first of all, you require to make them aware about the need of environment conservation. Okay, till they do not understand what is the need for environmental conservation, they will not participate with you. Okay, this is the very straightforward truth. Okay, so if we want them, if we want people with us in efforts of conserving the environment, we required environmental education and awareness program so that people come to know about the concerns. Okay, stresses the importance of environmental education and awareness, aims to educate citizens about environmental issues and importance of the conservation. The same thing I have told you. Okay. Thereafter, the climate change. Okay. What is the difference between the weather and the climate? What is the difference between the weather and climate? Come on, I have told you the same thing in the previous lecture many times. I want you all to answer about it. Okay. What do you mean by the weather and climate? Giving you 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Time's up. Weather is a short-term phenomena in your surroundings. Okay. Climate is a long-term phenomena. It is a very basic examples I have provided. Okay. So if we talk about the climate change, then basically we're talking about the long-term phenomena. Okay. While not explicitly detailed on the 2006 policy, addressing climate change is considered a crucial aspect of environmental policies in India. India has since developed specific policies and initiatives to combat climate change, such as National Action Plan on Climate Change. So here we have got a 1 point, like the National Environment Policies known as NEP 2006 had nothing much about the climate change, but over the time we have developed various plans and policies, and one of such is National Action Plan on Climate Change, NEP-CC, to protect the environment, to protect the human beings, and to protect the natural resources we have. Alright. Thereafter, International cooperation. This policy requires the international cooperation to addressing the global environmental challenges and acknowledges India's commitment to international agreements and conventions related to environmental protection, because Earth having no boundaries. Earth having no boundaries, but countries have. Okay, countries have a boundary, but Earth do not have any boundary. Okay, so it means that if something happens in country, it will have an effect on country B, because both are on the same planet. So that's why we required international cooperation so that we could protect Earth all together. Okay. Thereafter, the last was our environmental institutions. This policy mentions the need for strengthening environmental institutions, including the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and state level pollution control boards, so that we could have a political administration, financial and large scale action. Okay, so this policy mentions the need for Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and other states boards, so that we could have a political, administration, financial and large scale action over climate protection, or you can say the environment protection basically. Okay, so students, in this lecture we have finished the national environment policy. In the next lecture we will proceed with other terms. Till then, just revise all the facts and figures we have discussed in this lecture, so that you find yourself able to learn about the next things. With these notes, let's end this session and thank you.